Oh, it's time for class.
Class is in session!
Roll call! Bueller?
I'm gonna be late for class.
Bueller?
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
Late for class.
You are mine now. You belong to me.
Did you study for the test?
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimblett to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
Hello, classmates. Welcome to another episode of Middle Class Film Class. I'm your host for today, Pete.
And I'm Tyler.
I'm not gonna do the. What was it? Oh, I have the Tyler.
I am the Tyler.
You can also do Nell Tyler Free. That's the lead actress from Immaculate.
You could do Tyler.
Or
Durden.
first time, I mean.
Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Tyler Dirty.
Tyler Dirty. Yeah. There you go.
And I'm Joseph.
You don't have a cool nickname for yourself?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, on this review episode, we're going to be covering a choice from the Wheel of Destiny, a Patreon pick from listener Dallas. Today, we're going to be reviewing Grizzly Man.
For 13 years, Timothy Treadwell lived among the grizzly bears in the Alaskan wilderness. During that time, he shot over 100 hours of videotape.
God damn it.
Until 2003, when he was killed by one of the bears he had sworn to protect.
Well, I'm here with one of my favorite bears. It's Mr. Chocolate. Hey, Mr. Chocolate. He's been with me for over a decade, and he's been my good friend. Oh, he's a big bear. He's a big bear.
He's a big bear.
He's a very big bear. Wow.
Big Bear.
When you spend a lot of time with bears day after day, there's a calling that makes you want to come in and spend more time in the world.
Expedition 2001, I came here and protected the animals as best I could. In fact, I'm the only protection for these animals out here. Animals rule. Timothy conquered.
He tended to want to become a bear.
Most times I'm a kind warrior out here. Occasionally I am challenged. And in that case, the kind warrior must become a samurai.
The samurai.
I think he had
he know what
lost
the word
sight
means?
of what was really going on. Or he got what he was asking for, he got what he deserved.
Come here and try to do what I do. You will die. You will die here. We need more rain! Melissa is eating her babies! Timothy, I'm getting a bad feeling about you. I can smell death all over my fingers. I will die for these animals. I will die for these animals. I will die for these animals.
Now the longhorns are gone.
Spoiler alert.
And the Trojans are gone. The Comanches are gone.
This is my life. This is what I do. I love it.
Geronimo's gone.
He says, if I don't come back, it's what I want.
And the lion is gone. And the red wolf is gone.
Grizzly Man.
And that's my story here. For me, Timothy Treadwell, the kind warrior.
It's a great song.
All right. That's something. Timothy Treadwell, a.k.a. Grizzly Man, 2005, is a documentary directed by Werner Herzog, also credited as writer for the documentary. I guess that makes sense because he wrote
his life.
He wrote all those great monologues. Starring Timothy Treadwell, Amy Huguenard, and Werner Herzog. So I'm assuming that's his girlfriend that was perished along with him.
Yeah.
So this is a documentary, a famed documentary that it covers like a very tragic, by some people's standards, death of Timothy Treadwell, and I guess we'll find out if it was a tragedy or was like an inevitability. So this was a choice from the Wheel of Destiny from the Patreon pick. If you want to get your movie on the wheel, it's going to be all you got to do is join in the our Patreon. It's ClassCon level and up, and you get a selection from the Wheel of Destiny. And this one was from our old faithful pal, listener Dallas, who is on the back line right now. What's up, Dallas? How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Gone, man.
Yeah, man.
Welcome back.
It's good to see your face. We love having you on the show. Last time you were here, you were doing a trivia episode with us.
That's right.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I got a couple of drops which I pulled from that, from your disappointed score readings for Tyler. 5. But I couldn't. I had nowhere to put them into the. I have nowhere to put them into the actual.
How would we implement them?
Yeah, how can I put it in the in the show? But I do have the classic.
Somehow.
Yeah.
The movie gets a B.
I fucking love it. From what's that, Pokemon, right?
Pokemon movie.
Yeah, the Pokemon movie. Yeah.
So you've been with us since the beginning. We've watched a few movies based off your recommendation. Why Grizzly Man?
It's been on my mind a lot, and I don't think you guys have done a documentary.
No, I was going to mention that this is the first documentary in the last 5 years of doing this show that we have ever reviewed.
Yeah.
We've talked about documentaries in like stream picks and stuff, but never did a full review on one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been on my mind a lot, and I recently rewatched it. I've been thinking about, how this story might have been told differently, and how it would have ended up differently if it happened today. Mm-hmm. Like, what if Treadwell was like live streaming all of this?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Different climate, social media, and everything.
Right. And I was thinking, like, maybe this is kind of a boomer thing to say, but like this is like a real documentary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When like you get on YouTube and there's so many videos that are like something documentary, and it's them reading a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
And and I bet if this happened today, there would be a lot of those. It'd be like the day after he died, there'd be some videos like, the disappointing fall off of Timothy Treadwell.
Oh, yeah.
The embarrassing downfall of
a lot of people's takes.
And I think it's a really interesting movie with how generally pessimistic Werner is, and how delusional Treadwell is. It's interesting that they're in the same movie together, basically.
Yeah. And on the topic of it being a real documentary, it's the stuff that you're not going to get from one of those like YouTube docs or a 4-hour
iDubbbz documentary
expose. Yeah, 4-hour. Well, maybe iDubbbz you get some of this, but like because iDubbbz went out to
Dax Flame and
to full force.
Yeah, full force,
and like spent time with them to get real stuff. But like in Werner's case, he goes to the coroner that investigated the bodies and inspected the bodies, and was like, here's the metal case they came in.
Yeah.
And there's still
that
blood
coroner
sloshing around.
He was the star.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so that exposure is good. He went straight to the his ex-girlfriend to talk and got the tape, listened to the tape, and I think we're all probably better for not hearing it.
No, not me. I really want to hear that tape. I need to hear what Timothy's last words were.
It was Mr. Chocolate, no. Famous last words. What's your history with Werner Herzog, Dallas?
Oh, I love him. This was the first movie I saw with him, and then right after I saw it, I watched Into the Abyss, which is probably my favorite. But I didn't choose that one because I think it's a little harder to talk about.
Yeah.
Really just disturbing subject matter there.
I don't know anything about that one.
Oh, it's about the death penalty. It's a guy that is like definitely guilty. It's not a true crime documentary where it's a question of, did this guy do it? Did he not? He definitely did it. And he's sentenced to death, and it's Werner, looking at how this happened. And it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. It's just a little harder to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that to my watch list because it's hard with him because he is such an enigmatic character. And it's like the stories that you hear kind of talked about with him is he remade Bad Lieutenant and
sort of,
and called it Bad Lieutenant, Port Call, New Orleans. Will not acknowledge that it's a remake. Doesn't even pretends like he doesn't even know who the director was, Abel Ferrara of the original. Claims he's never heard of The Simpsons. Claims he was friends with John Waters for 20 years and didn't know he was gay. Like
I had no idea.
He's just he came to me and told me this, and I said, "Wow, I never knew that."
He's a very enigmatic character.
This episode might be filled with terrible impressions of Werner Herzog.
For sure. But
he's probably my favorite person that I would never want to have a conversation with.
That's so funny. But his catalog is so expansive. When you scroll through it, it's like 2001, Invincible director. 2001, Pilgrimage, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 9. He's got
he's very prolific.
3 movies and or documentaries, sometimes a year. And he's been doing it since his first credit was in 1962.
Jeez.
So, I mean, he directed Fitzcarraldo. He directed Nosferatu the Vampire.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Nosferatu.
He's done so many narrative stuff. And then he's done these fantastic documentaries like Grizzly Man. And
then he's in random movies and shows.
Yeah.
I want to see the baby.
He's the villain. He plays the villain in Jack Reacher.
Yeah. Desperation is something that people talk about but don't truly understand.
That wasn't scripted either.
I know.
That wasn't scripted.
So that was your first one. What else have you seen from him that really speaks to you?
Fitzcarraldo is really interesting, along with the partner documentary about making it, Burden of Dreams.
Yeah.
That documentary, you really get to see what makes Herzog tick, and you really get to learn a lot about his worldview, which is not very agreeable a lot of the time, but it's always interesting. And yeah, I just, now whenever he comes out with a movie, I've got to see it, because it's always at least going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
That's absolutely true with him. It may not be your cup of tea. It may not be aligned with your worldview, but at least you're getting something unique and interesting to look at. Yeah. Now, any new release movies that you've seen that you can recommend to the class?
Just last night, I watched that Kane Mutiny Court Martial.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Off of your guys' recommended. Killer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Loved it. That's the newest release I saw. I also recently caught up with, I'd seen it before, but 2003's Monster. Nice. Charlize Theron.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I've never seen it all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces of it when they were talking about the makeup, and it's Christina Ricci also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's worth a watch.
Oh yeah. It feels a little dated sometimes, but the performance is really good. I think, looking at it and seeing the makeup, you might think it's really over the top, but I don't think it is. I think she did a great job.
I mean, if you look at the documentary that pairs with that movie, and you compare and contrast with Charlize Theron and I can't remember who the killer's name
Eileen
was.
Wuornos.
Right. Okay, that's what it was. They look strikingly similar after the makeup is applied.
Yeah. Wow. I'm looking at the picture of her right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For Grizzly Man. The whole time that I was watching it, and I'm sure we'll talk about this on the show, about like the character that is Treadwell himself, and like what he in his own mind, what he was trying to do or attempting to do in terms of like conservancy, and he kept on saying that he was the protector of these animals or whatever. What by the end of it, what do you think, Dallas? Like, was he achievable in his goal? Or do you lean more into that guy who was like, yeah, he got what he deserved?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he deserved to die, but he definitely had it covered. I mean, and it's a really interesting story, because I do think a lot of what he was doing was because of ego. He clearly thought very highly of himself. I think the most direct comparison would be Steve Irwin. He wanted to be the bear hunter, but you know,
be nice to him,
the bear protector.
Yeah.
And I think it's ironic that he didn't protect anything. Like those bears are the safest bears in the world. It's just a fantastic national park.
Yeah. I think they mentioned in the documentary it's a reserve for bears.
Right.
Well, that plus his like one of the enemies that he talked about often was the poachers, and even the locals were like, yeah, you might get like 1 or 2 bears get poached a year. It's not a concern.
And they're not like, and that guy, he says, bears get killed like every once in a while, but it's not really poaching. It's someone sees one and they get freaked out.
Correct.
And they kill it thinking for self-defense or whatever. And the thing is, like, Treadwell is kind of contributing to that because now all of a sudden the bears are getting more comfortable with humans.
Yeah.
They're going to be more likely to get closer to them, and people are more likely to get scared. So, I think he did quite a bit of harm. I mean, he got himself killed, his girlfriend killed, he got that bear killed.
Yeah. It's like Harambe.
All in the name of
Harambe all over
protecting
again.
these bears.
Well, one of the things I think about is like Steve Irwin. So it kind of goes all the way back to the concept of zoos. Are zoos a net positive or a net negative? If you're going out into the wild and taking a perfectly healthy tiger and putting it in a zoo, fuck you for that. But if you're taking injured animals that wouldn't be able to survive in the wild and you're putting them in that habitat, giving them as good of a life as you can for the sake of exposing the general populace to animals and saying, oh, I love animals. I saw them at the zoo. I don't want to do bad things to animals. I want the animals to be happy and healthy. That leads to people that give a shit about the environment, long-lasting effects, and the reaches of all that kind of stuff is all net positive. But you're still putting animals in a cage. So, there's arguments to be had there. But with him, someone like Steve Irwin, he's constantly exposing the public to these animals and saying, you need to respect them, you need to give them their space, but they're nothing to be super afraid of. And
also in an entertaining way that's more digestible to a general public.
Correct, and I feel like that's more impactful than something like a zoo, maybe, because it definitely leaves them in their natural habitat and all this kind of stuff. Getting to Timothy Treadwell, though, what is he doing?
Was he actually?
He said he's taking photos and videos and taking them around to schools and things like that, but I don't think that's maybe like 1 or 2 elementary schools a year he's doing that with, and then and is that worth the cost of what's happening? He sees himself as this omniscient protector, and he's even like cursing at the government because they only flew over the reserve twice. It's like you shouldn't be flying over the reserve at all if they can help it. It's like just what is he doing that everyone else is not doing? I don't know.
Yeah, and a lot of the people that like him are, they're apologizing for him. They're saying he's doing good work, but man, I don't see it. I did a lot of research after watching this. That foundation he started, the Grizzly people, they haven't done a damn thing ever. I went to their website. It's just barren. There's just bear. There
we go. That's the stuff.
There's just nothing there. Like, they have a bunch of tabs like conservation, science, and you go there, and it's literally just a blank page.
Wow.
Like, I tried finding anything that they've done, and it's just nothing.
Oh man.
It's frustrating because I do think, for the most part, he was well-intentioned, and I think he believed his own bullshit. I think he really thought he was making a difference, but he would not listen to the people that actually knew what they were talking about. He had this idea that he was right, and he wasn't. And I don't think he was a bad guy or anything.
Yeah.
It's just,
I chalk it up to the Dunning-Kruger, effect, where he's like,
exactly.
He really thinks he's the man because he's exposed to them in nature. It's like,
right. How
much does he really know more than a proper like biologist or like scientist in that field?
Right. And I think the fact that he was able to go so long without getting hurt probably added to his feeling of like superiority over others on the subject. I just as part of the research I was doing prior to this, I saw a thing where like a real environmentalist was watching this thing, and he was saying like, the reason Treadwell was able to go so far without getting hurt is because of how like well off these bears are. Like they generally have so much food. They're super well protected. Like, so they don't feel threatened by anything because they've got full bellies. They live great lives for bears. And then, he gets killed around the time that there's a drought.
Scarcity.
Yeah. The bears are getting hungry. They're eating their own. And he's there, and, it clicked with one of the bears. Like,
two delicious hippies.
Two delicious hippies.
Yeah.
Well, it's my first time watching it, so I'm excited to talk about it more. And it was a great pick, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dallas.
Yeah, you're breaking new ground, making us review a documentary for once.
Yeah, that's right. First time documentary.
Broke new ground.
Makes me want to put a documentary on the board now too.
Yeah,
I have one in mind.
The Wild Whites of West Virginia.
No.
Oh no, we should. That's a good one.
No. Anything you wanted to say to the class, or anything you wanted to promote before we go?
No. Just keep going. You guys are saying, like, during the break, you've been going for 5 years.
5 years,
and it's frustrating, that there's like 2 people watching it.
Yeah.
But man, I hope you guys keep going. I think it's great.
I appreciate it, man.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Dallas.
We'll talk to you soon, Dallas.
You bet. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
What a delight.
Yes.
So, yeah, and we got in the chat right now, there's Angry Otters down here. There's 3 or 4 people in the chat. And we understand. The live stream is not everybody's cup of tea.
It's also like noon. When we
exactly.
do this on a Saturday.
We did a Saturday night stream one time, and that was, I think we had like 15, 18 people in there. Because it was like, it's time for people to
Saturday night.
sit down and, either watch a movie or watch a live stream or whatever. And
unless it's like
3 guys in the 30s talking about movies and bullshit.
And
that's right.
When it's like the middle of winter, most people usually aren't at home on a Saturday noon.
No, Heather tweeted at me on earlier when the show first started and said, "Sorry, it's too much of a baseball-y day to be on the live stream."
Baseball-y day?
She's in Maryland, so she's in Orioles game right now.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you, Dallas. Appreciate that, buddy.
Yes, thank you.
We are.
He has such a good radio voice.
He does. Great radio voice.
Yeah. I could listen to him read me a book or something.
Yeah, and then Angry Otter in the chat says, that's what the replays are for. So if you can't watch it live, you can always watch the downloads. And we get a fair amount of downloads on our full length videos.
Mm-hmm.
What we're really shooting for anybody who listens to us or watches us on a regular basis. If you're on the audio only, head on over to YouTube. It makes a difference. We're trying to get more people to migrate there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a listener who has been listening, but we've never ever heard from you ever.
That too.
You've never sent a message or an email or anything. Please do so.
Yeah, send us an email.
Something. We want to know that you're there and that you like us or don't like us.
Hello.
But you hate to listen to us. I don't know.
No, they'll probably just disparage me. That's always
Or that would be great, actually.
Yeah.
Disparage Tyler.
Well, you did ask for hate mail.
I did.
You
ask
did
for
this
that.
to yourself.
Yeah, I know. I did.
Even if, and here's the thing too, I think a lot of people might get discouraged or worried that we're going to read their email on air. If you don't want us to, because we do, just say so. Say, hey, I want to, don't read this on the air, but I just want to say, good job, or I fucking hate you.
Enough about the show and more about Grizzly Man.
No, we don't do enough promotion. We're going to take a second to promote. I was on the t-shirt I'm wearing right now, Binge Movies. I did a special segment on Binge Movies just last night that'll come out in a week or two, something like that, called Last Movie Standing, where you take 2 competitors, me and Paul from the Countdown podcast, basically defended our movie to go into the Binge Movies no copyright infringement intended vault to be preserved for all time, even beyond the end times. And I got to argue to preserve E.T. the Extraterrestrial for all time.
Wow.
My old nemesis.
God.
The movie which scarred me for decades.
So brave of you, Pete.
And his and Paul's choice was Jaws. It was a Spielberg versus Spielberg no holds barred match. And during that show, while we were recording, Paul mentioned, he goes, "Oh yeah, I watched The Lady in White. That was one of the Binge Movies challenge movie that I watched, and I mentioned it for 2 seconds on the show last week." And he goes, "Yeah, I watched. I didn't watch Lady in White, but I know Pete did because I listened to his show." And I was it made me so happy just to hear that Paul had listened to the show.
Oh.
And it's one of those things. It's like like Joseph said, you're out there listening, but we've never heard from you. It feels like it's a nameless, faceless ghost. They're rogue downloads coming from nowhere.
And
I'll have to ask my supervisor to chime in because he listens to the show as well.
Cool. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Interesting what?
I don't know,
Interesting what?
Just interesting. Just
Why?
Nothing. I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to. He's want to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Huh?
You were gonna say something?
Oh yeah, it's like kind of like when we're talking, it's like, I mean, it is very much we are in here in a room talking about movies, but sometimes it feels like it's just that. But I guess that's like the point of the show for other listeners is like they're supposed to be
fly on the wall,
kind of like fly on the wall, or they're in the conversation just listening.
Yeah.
But I guess it's like if you're there,
it does feel good.
Yeah.
I like to get the emails.
We have some positive reinforcement, okay?
That's
tickle
right.
our sack.
Yeah, that's right.
You gotta tickle our balls.
God damn it!
All right, so let's get into Grizzly Man.
Finally.
I gave the brass tacks already, but I'll give you the synopsis from IMDb. A devastating and heart-rendering take on grizzly bear activities. Timothy Treadwell and Arnie Huguenard, who were killed in October of 2003 while living among grizzly bears in Alaska. So,
did you say Arnie?
Did I say Arnie?
Yeah, you said Arnie.
Amy.
Oh, Amy.
It's Amy.
Now, my eyes are getting worse by the day. An M looks like an RN. But again, this is chosen by listener Dallas. Really appreciative of it. And have you guys seen it before?
Yes.
No.
Okay, cool. So Tyler, first, you've already seen it already. Why don't you give us your initial reactions on a rewatch?
What year did it come out?
2005.
2005. Okay, so I saw it like a year after it came out.
Okay.
This was again when I was just watching movies like left and right, and I came across this documentary. I didn't know who Werner Herzog is, so like it had or Herzog. I didn't have any like sort of relation to him, but I thought about, oh wow, this seems pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And so I watched it and I thought it was a good documentary. The reason why I think it's a good documentary is because it's so artistically well crafted. Like Dallas was saying, like it feels like a real documentary. It does, because there's sort of like a vision to the documentary. It's not like the YouTube documentaries we see today, like we were just talking about earlier. It's more like it feels a lot more crafted, and has a point to it, rather than, I mean, I guess like the YouTube documentaries do have a point, but it's more like, I don't know, it's more cinematic.
Okay.
And I could understand why he would choose it. However, when I watched it in 2006, like I didn't have the introspective thoughts that I had after watching it than I did after on a rewatch.
Okay.
And so with Grizzly Man, I thought that it was definitely a very good documentary. It makes you think a lot about like being an individual. It makes you think a lot about who Timothy Treadwell was as a person. And it kind of makes you, the way that the documentary moves makes you psychoanalyze this person, like in his life, like how he was in his past, especially with the interviews too, and the questions that were posed to, like, you know, his like ex-girlfriend, his parents, and like even like the people who are involved, like getting his like remains, like the coroner and like the helicopter pilot. Like those were all very interesting subjects to interview while filming this documentary. I think upon a second rewatch, I have a greater appreciation for it than I did when I first watched it. It's a very interesting subject matter on a person that was delusional in his thoughts of thinking that he was a conservationalist. When you see the interviews with the ecologists and stuff like that, like you can see like how everyone was, I would say they were more concerned rather than insulted by his motivations. They were just concerned because, like Dallas was saying in the beginning, like he was well intended, but it was just misplaced. And I mean, also like maybe personally he wasn't that great of a person. But if we're talking about his concern for bears, I do have a little bit more thoughts on that. I think he cared about bears, but I think it wasn't about the bears that he cared about or conserving them or protecting them. Because if he's saying if he's going into like a reserve for bears where they are protected and he's saying he's protecting them, it's kind of like this like weird, like paradoxical thing where it's like, well, why, like, you know where you're going, those bears are protected. So why do you think that you're protecting the bears when they're not in really any danger?
Yeah.
So
he's providing a service that no one needs.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like coming out of this documentary, I thought to myself, well, it wasn't about protecting bears. It was about him escaping his reality that is in the modern society that he was trying to survive in. But anyways, initial thoughts. Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Joseph, what do you got?
I forgot to do this. Sorry, Tyler. Here, we'll get you on. Where are you? I'll get you on the screen. There you go.
Hey, there's Ty.
Stop calling me that.
All right, Tylo Ran.
Ty of the Tiger.
Tyra Banks. Okay.
Tyler Banks.
Okay. My turn.
You got Russ Cole in there still.
Oh, yeah, damn it.
You know, bears, they're just
a flat circle.
Bears
are a flat circle.
They're just a flat circle. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Bears are going to be here again and again.
So yeah, Grizzly Man. First time watch for me. I've like known about this documentary for a really long time. And I've always like I've always wanted to watch it just because of what it's about. A man lived with bears for this long and then he was killed by the very thing that he said he was protecting.
Yeah.
It sounded like a really interesting documentary. And I've only seen one other Werner documentary, which is, maybe I've seen two. I've seen Cave of Forgotten Dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen Happy People.
I don't know Happy People.
It's about this family that lives in the densest forest in the world, or the oldest forest in the world, or something like that, in like Siberia or something.
Interesting.
But yeah, the Grizzly Man is first time watch for me. And as a documentary, it's really well done, and I think Werner's approach to making documentaries, like, there's obviously different styles of documentary, and his style is like he inserts himself.
Yeah, he does.
He inserts himself. Inserts his voice and his presence. He's not physically in the documentary, like he's in like one scene when he's listening. But you hear him sometimes when he's off camera. But most of the time it's just a narration, and he's just kind of giving it's almost like his insight and his opinion on what this guy Treadwell is doing, and using obviously information that he's gotten from the people that he's talked to throughout. And it's a really interesting and really, I think, like Tyler said, like artistic approach to making a documentary like this. And we talked about, like, is it a tragedy?
Yeah.
Is it a tragedy? I would say that's just like yes and no. It is and isn't a tragedy, because it's tragic what happened, and for like it was bad for a lot of people, and it, like Tyler said, it did a little bit more harm than good. And there's that guy in that, it's not a museum, but it's like a center.
The Native American.
And him talking about, like, he's like, I don't think he's doing a good thing like you think he's doing. And it is pretty obvious that he does have like an inflated, delusional ego of himself and what he thinks he's doing. But I also think that he is a very well-intentioned person, and thinking that he is doing a good thing, he's doing, in his mind, he's doing the right thing. And kind of how I looked at it was, I was like, he isn't actively protecting them. He's not like running in front of people with guns and like
he sees the poachers right there and doesn't do shit.
Yeah. They're throwing rocks at him. And he doesn't step in.
No, Mr. Chocolate. He hit Terrence with a rock.
And so like while like he wasn't physically doing anything, he's just there watching them and observing them.
Yeah.
And
he's not even taking notes.
And it's all in his brain. It's all he's got a
steel trap
on there. I kind of like compared it to like a sort of like activism, or like maybe it's just like a sort of like a protest for awareness type of thing.
Yeah.
But then again, he's in a national park. Like he's already in a protected area.
Mm-hmm.
I'm protecting these bears.
Yeah.
They're safe because of me.
Yeah.
But it's like I kind of compare it to like the activism for like big oil or stop oil, where it's like they do things not related to oil, but to draw awareness to oil. Like they throw paint on the Mona Lisa or something.
Yeah, spray oil on it.
Or glue their hands to something else to be in the way, right? To cause a disruption.
We're going to stop the world.
Right. And it's like...
So you have to pay attention.
So people will be like, what do they do? It has nothing to do with oil. But it's like, well, now you're like you're stopping at the point
But at least
what they're doing.
At least they are making awareness. Timothy Treadwell was out where no one knows where he was. I think no one knew what he was doing. He was just this person.
Oh, don't worry about me.
Well, I mean, they did know because he was on the news.
Yeah, and Letterman.
Eventually, he did get on the news.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, I'm out here every season." And I don't know at what point in his 13 years that he was out there that happened. So it's like he's doing what he thinks is right, and I can appreciate that. But then again, it's going back to like, well, this, like, you died, this woman died, and this bear was killed because of you being there.
Yeah.
So
and then all of the trauma and grief that the family members had to struggle through.
So it's like hard to root for him.
He's an idiot.
Yeah. You know, he's just...
Wait, Joseph, what did the helicopter pilot say he was? He was mentally...
Oh, yeah.
Just mentally...
I think
disjointed
you should...
or something like that?
I don't remember. I think you remember, though.
I don't remember.
I know. I was trying to bait you into saying it.
Nice try.
Nice try.
I'll try again someday.
Dude, what the fuck?
That guy was a fucking asshole. That helicopter pilot.
Yeah, he was.
Pretty realistic.
He looked like a Trump supporter.
I can't believe this.
Yeah, it's hard for me, but at the same time, I also don't like it when people are like play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know,
Why?
I don't know. It just like for something like that, it's like he's doing what he thinks is right, and maybe it's not making a difference. But I mean, at least he's doing something in terms of like raising awareness for protection of bears. Even if it is like a faux like activism because he's in a place where they're already protected.
Yeah,
and it is a weird hill to...
It's like performative.
A weird
activism.
hill to die on.
Yeah.
You know? It's kind of like when people look at like rock climbers or free solos and it's like, well, that's stupid. Why would you do that? I'm like, well, it's stupid. It's stupid if you would do it. But maybe not Alex Honnold. Maybe not this guy who did
That's a really great point. I really like that point. Yeah, it's stupid if you do it. Wow. I'm taking that with me, man.
Oh, thank you.
I'm taking that with me.
Well, you can have it.
I was going to use it in a context that makes no sense.
So the person
when in Rome. It's funny because it's true.
When in Rome.
Reviewing a documentary is interesting because like there's like the movie itself and then the subject.
Correct.
So it's like two separate things that we have to somehow.
Yeah.
There's like technical elements and then like, but what about this guy, the subject of the whole thing? But yeah, it was a really good documentary. It was
nice.
I don't want to say heartwarming, but it was like kind of bittersweet.
Yeah.
And it was
like wholesome in a way.
It was very
how
there was like
all the way up to the mauling.
Like the fox.
Yeah.
That whole segment was very wholesome.
Yeah.
He was it was like Cinderella.
Was wholesome.
But there were some scenes with like the mortician.
Yeah.
It was he was so weird.
Yeah. He's a mortician. They're weird, guy.
But like the way that he filmed it was so odd, and the way he described the way that they described like the remains and stuff, it was incredibly brutal.
Yes.
And like what you can imagine, like
just very cavalier.
Like the pilot, the plane, the guy who took him out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I saw a rib cage.
I saw a human rib cage.
That's like, damn. And then but yeah, really well made. Liked it a lot.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So first watch from me. I think what makes this documentary really interesting is that, number one, it's kind of like in Do the Right Thing. There's not it doesn't spell it out for you. Like, is this guy good? Is he bad? Is he whatever? Is he making a difference? Is he all this stuff? It's a little bit of everything, you know? And in a world where we have Joe Exotic, the Tiger King, and this insane woman from the Chimp Crazy documentary series that just came out, it's like, I think this guy, Tim Treadwell, he's somewhere in that pantheon of people that are like, they're clearly crazy for these animals. They're clearly obsessed with them. They've got that weird parasite that makes you obsessed with that specific animal. Toxoplasmosis is the cat one.
Yeah.
So
I'm riddled with it.
This guy's got toxobearmosis. Right?
Bearmosis.
Yeah.
Bearmosis.
And he has good intentions, but I can't see a single thing that he's done that makes it feel like any of it was worth it. So there's a cost and benefit, like we talked about with the zoo.
Yeah.
You know, is it worth all the shit of the individual lives of these animals to potentially keep them from becoming extinct or whatever might happen? Because flashback 150 years, animals were going extinct all the time.
Yeah.
You know, people would see a new animal and they'd be like, "Oh shit, look at that giant hairy cow thing.
Let's
kill
shoot it.
Let's kill thousands of them. Let's stack their skulls into a fucking pyramid that we can climb stories high with."
I mean, that was a little bit different. That was more so to starve out Native Americans, but I get the...
Again, they don't give a fuck about the life of the animals as long as it aligns with what they're trying to do in life.
Right.
So, like, there has to be some sort of net positive from the things that he's doing. And from what I can tell, there was none. You know, it was a misguided attempt to do some good. More of it was a vanity project than anything. And it was very performative in the stuff that he was doing.
Yeah.
You know, giving yourself a nickname like this Silent Protector or whatever the fuck he is.
He called himself a samurai or something like that, too.
Yeah.
The master.
Like, do you even know what a samurai is, man?
It's like, does Steve Irwin have any of that shit for him? Other people call him the Crocodile Hunter. And I don't know if he's ever commented on the specific nickname, but like, he would be in the shit with them, give you an up close view of the animal, and then tell you to respect it and say, you know, stay back when the animal looks like this because you're in his territory, blah, 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 and then move on. And it's like...
He was more about education rather...
Yes.
But with Timothy Treadwell, like, he attempted to do it, but I think...
He didn't attempt to do shit. He
went to classrooms.
I guess, to show off his vanity project.
Correct.
I don't know.
That's where I agree with you. Like, yeah, wasn't educating, but he attempted to, where Steve Irwin... All right,
did it. Okay. So that's kind of where I come down with him. The thing that I didn't know about this whole thing, you kind of imagine in your head how it's going to play out, is number one, the really interesting thing about the way the documentary is structured is that they tell you about the death immediately.
Yeah.
And part of that, I don't know if that's like a good marketing thing, because they know that's the only way they can market it is to say, hey, this is the guy, and then he was killed by the grizzly bears. Now everybody wants to watch it. Instead of just, oh, there's a conservationist living in the woods. Does he make it out or not? Oh, you know, they're going to talk about the death in the advertising. So just get it out of the way from the beginning. Don't do this like fake out sort of 3-act structure like a Hollywood movie, and like it all leads to this, and then the big crescendo at the end and the apex to the whole story
is that he died.
Yeah, it's like he introduces him. You have his year of his birth and the year of his death right under his name, and you know it's going to happen. So I liked that. I thought that was really interesting. And then also, I didn't realize that he was basically shooting like this movie throughout, like that he was a character.
He's like making his own nature doc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to take this with a few different like outfits just in case the footage comes together a certain way. And it was so cheesy too. He'd like come down the hill and like jump down and like look around and then keep walking. I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
What is he doing? He's got his head is just getting bigger by the minute.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think where I come down on him as a whole is that he's just a dumb guy that he's in a situation that's too big for his britches. That's kind of how I think about it. So as far as the documentary goes, the structure of the documentary, I love that Werner is brutally honest about his feelings about Tim Treadwell and what he was doing and his philosophy on the bears. So I want to play a little clip here.
Okay.
This is Werner talking about Timothy Treadwell's philosophy versus Werner's own philosophy.
It's her boob. It's Wendy's boob.
This is him finding
I know
a
it may seem weird that I
scat,
touched her
bear
boob. I was
scat.
inside of
This
her.
is a comical scene.
It's her life. It's her. And she's so precious to me. She gave me Downy. I adore Downy. Everything about them is perfect.
Perfection belonged to the bears, but once in a while Treadwell came face to face with the harsh reality of wild nature. This did not fit into his sentimentalized view that everything out there was good and the universe in balance and in harmony. Male bears sometimes kill cubs to stop the females from lactating and thus have them ready again for fornication.
Oh,
it was sad to see that bare arm, bare paw, and
I
the
love you.
dead fox here.
I love you, and I don't understand. It's a painful world.
Here I differ with Treadwell. He seemed to ignore the fact that in nature there are predators. I believe the common denominator of the universe is not harmony, but chaos, hostility, and murder.
God damn.
Good old Werner giving us an injection of
Pessimism.
reality and pessimism.
Oh
yeah.
my God, I love him, man.
Yeah.
I think that Treadwell just has a childlike way of looking at animals.
I agree with that.
Well, I mean, that's
I would
what
say that
I mean. He says that as much.
It's okay,
I think,
Joseph.
like in the.
I didn't want to hear the rest of your sentence. No big deal.
Right, I don't know what I'm doing here.
You just interrupt him in the middle of his sentence. I was listening to what he was trying to say.
I'm sorry. That coffee.
But yeah, I think that he is just almost like it's like he like as a stunted mentality of the world and the natural world, and the fact that he was able to survive for so long, it just obviously inflated. It just kept on inflating that worldview of like, yeah, I'm just one of them now.
Yeah,
they're just like cool with me, and so it's like you kind of feel for him when he's like looking at that bear arm and he's like, I can't believe this is what happened. It's so like the world is painful and terrible. And
I got thoughts about that. I'll just say I fucking loved it. Great documentary, and we can get into the general conversation. You want to get the three of us?
Oh yeah.
And then, so on that topic, it's shocking to me that 13 years in, he doesn't realize that already.
Mm-hmm.
But like Dallas said, this is the like peak prime environment. This is like bear haven for them. They have everything they need. They're gluttoned on food. They don't have to worry. I mean, besides the other male bears there, what other issues do they have? You know, there's not much for them. So
disease, I guess,
potentially. But where I mean, you're in this like idyllic like utopia. This
Alaskan frontier.
Yeah, it's like that's where they belong. That's where they came from and should stay. And you know, so he probably didn't have exposure to a lot of these like, oh, I walked up on the scene and it was like a slaughterhouse. His rival bear came in and he's starved to death. So he wiped the whole bear family out and killed all the babies and ate the mom, blah, 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 blah. He probably hasn't seen that hardly ever.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going up to like, hey, watch, it wouldn't be funny if I pet this bear.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead them down the river. I'm going to be their leader. It's like, bro, you're going to be bear food. Yeah. And he was.
He was eventually, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think what this documentary achieved was more so not focusing or really there was no disparagement of Timothy Treadwell. I think it was more so of a spotlight on someone who I believe he cared about bears, but only in the sense that it could have been anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they talk about in the documentary that he was working at a restaurant, the ex-girlfriend that was interviewed.
She's a character too.
Yeah.
I feel like they probably dropped acid a bunch together and fried both their brains.
And she said that Timothy Treadwell had a problem with drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what I got from the documentary is that he just latched on to bears to replace his addiction from something else.
Yeah, that's good.
So he wasn't trying to be a conservationist, because when they were interviewing everyone else, they were speaking common sense. And it's like, well, if you want to be a conservationist, like, you know, you got to go to school, like learn the science. Like what I know, because like I used to want to be a forest ranger. And so I took a lot of classes in college to become a forest ranger and volunteered for the Forestry Service.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to it, when you're in the Forestry Service, not only are you doing like hard work, like with like, you know, making trails walkable, you know, fixing fences and stuff like that, you're also surveying the land. So if you wanted to be like this rogue conservationist for bears, he should have been taking like field notes, like not just like filming them is fine, like, but
maybe he was. We don't get to see everything about it. Maybe
yeah, that's true. Notes. I mean, I guess what the documentary fails is like we don't get a whole picture of who Timothy Treadwell was. We get his last 5 years of his life.
Yeah, we don't. All we hear is like, yeah, he had problems with drugs and alcohol, and he lived like he didn't even live in Alaska. He lived in California, and would only go to Alaska for the season, right?
Yeah,
right.
However long that was.
And I'm sure there's probably biographical like books about him going deeper into his personal life. But as far as the documentary goes, is that we're just seeing the past decade of his life. So like we're not really getting the full story. It only goes into his childhood for like I don't know, like a couple of minutes, where his mom says, "Oh, he liked bears when he was a kid."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, yeah, but I'm not making the connection of him being a complete maniac going into the Alaskan wilderness and trying to befriend bears. So like I get what the mom was trying to do. She was trying to justify his death and saying, "Oh, well, he always loved bears his whole life." No, he didn't. He liked a teddy bear when he was 6 years old. Dude, come on. Like,
I mean, I've loved turtles my whole life. You know, if I were to drop everything I did to go
to the Galapagos Island,
go to the Galapagos Island and be a conservationist there. You
yeah,
know?
but you're a smart man, so
I'm not. What are you saying? All conservationists are stupid?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying Timothy Treadwell was stupid.
I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about Tim Treadwell.
And I'm calling you a smart man. If you want to go to the Galapagos Island and study turtles, God bless you. Do it.
Okay, let me finish my sentence. If I were to go there and go into the conservationary role, you know, but my efforts are misguided, and I got people that are coming to me and saying, "You really shouldn't do this. You shouldn't be live streaming this right now, or you shouldn't be touching the turtles like that, especially if you don't wash your hands first. You're going to give them diseases or germs or whatever." Or I'm bringing on foreign food onto the island and like planting my own crops and they're potentially poisonous for them. It's like my heart's in the right place because I love turtles, but I'm a fucking idiot because I didn't do the research. I went in with my own motives, uneducated point of view, and did more harm than good. Which,
well, yeah, I mean that's the same exact thing. But you would never do that. You would never do that.
Maybe if I almost overdosed on hard drugs and I fried my brain like fucking by what's his actual name? Timothy. His real name was Timothy William Dexter.
Tim Dexter.
Yeah. So doing more harm than good on the topic of that. So both of the bears that were suspected to kill him had to go in and get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a net negative impact on the actual environment because of his death.
By the end of it.
Yeah. By the end of it. And according to the Grizzly people, his foundation that he started, supposedly the year after his death, 5 bears were poached from that area.
Oh, jeez.
Well, and they already said that they allow for 3% of the population of the bear deaths to be able to still sustain like a healthy activity or whatever. So I don't think it's that huge of a deal, but it is bad.
Imagine 3% of you can kill 3% of the human population. We have enough.
Yeah.
I wonder how much died in COVID.
No.
how many COVID deaths were there?
The government's just like, we have a 3% purge. Yeah. It's cool. You can just go kill humans. Doesn't matter.
But yeah, I think.
Well, the whole, it's okay. If he'd never been in there, would people know where to go? You know what I mean? Like they were addressing him on the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy will be back next summer, next season, whatever. And it's like, was he really scaring poachers away, or was it like he was leading them to?
Yeah, you get those people who want to go see it in person.
You ever heard of the phrase a Judas goat?
No.
A Judas goat.
Judas goat?
No.
So this is a real scenario that happened. An island got overran by goats. People were on this island to go either do some research or something. It was a remote island, and they brought goat as a food. You know, breed the goats, make more goats, eat the goats.
All right.
That's how tortoises got to the islands in the first place. Is they were mainland tortoises that were taken on ships because they could survive for months without food, and they were the last resort to get eaten.
Oh, okay.
That's what giant tortoises, how they got into the islands.
Okay.
So a Judas goat is...
Maybe I have heard this term.
Imagine this island now is overran with goats. They're eating up all the crops. They're eating up all the vegetation. They're fucking up the wildlife and the delicate balance of nature on that island.
Yeah.
And you need to kill all the goats. Okay. You got to thin the herd, cull the herd, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So you go out there with all your hunters and stuff, and it's a big island, a lot of caves and all kinds of places for these fuckers to hide. You go kill a bunch of goats. You think you got them all. 2 seasons later, shit ton of goats still there.
Okay.
They're like, where the fuck are these goats? Well, what they do is they put a tracker on one goat. They kill all the goats, but they put a tracker on the other, and they just let it go. And they will find the other goats. And unknowingly, the Judas goat is causing the death of the other goats. Leading them right to him.
Yeah.
Classic action movie trope. You let the one person go, it leads you back to the big boss or whatever. In this case, Tim Treadwell, Tim, what's his real name?
Dexter.
Tim Dexter is leading these poachers right to the bears. That's what I think. At least.
Unbeknownst, or just like he didn't think about it.
Yeah.
He didn't think that far ahead.
But I mean, like that just like comes back to the point is where thinking about it now, like I think the superficial philosophy of what he was trying to do is well intended. However, based on what I saw on camera as him as a person, I think it was very selfish, and it really ultimately at the end of the day was not about the bears. It was more about satisfying an urge to feel full in life. That's what I saw based on like his behavior. I think like
what is your urge to be fulfilled in life, Tyler? Eye of the Tyler.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I struggle with that every single day. I don't know.
Maybe we should go live in
maybe we should go
live in Alaska.
In the
wilderness.
Did you see all those mosquitoes on the guy who found the body? Like how they were like all flying around?
Yeah, like gnats. I thought they were flies.
No, those are mosquitoes, man.
The big mosquitoes.
Yeah, that's what Alaska is known for, is the mosquitoes. And like when I was watching that whole time where he's taking the camera crew to like the kill site. Like it was just like all over like his face, and there's some on the cameras as well. And I was just like kind of getting like itchy.
The heebie-jeebies.
I was just like, oh,
creepy crawlies.
Because there was at one point in my life where like I wanted, actually shortly after I watched this documentary, I was like, oh, I want to go to Alaska. That looks like a really cool place. No,
you can do it
because
just go when it's cold.
No. No, I'm
you
not.
Don't want to go to Alaska?
Say yes, man.
No, I don't.
Why?
Because
it's so beautiful there.
Yeah, it might be beautiful
but
with a bunch of mosquitoes. Yeah.
Are you scared of mosquitoes?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're the number one animal in the animal kingdom that spread disease.
Yeah, but you're not in Africa. It's malaria.
Doesn't matter where you're.
If they don't have access to malaria in Alaska, you're not going to get malaria.
I'm surprised Timothy. Surprised Timothy Treadwell didn't die of malaria.
That's like saying that it's like McLovin in Superbad. It's like Mohammed's the most common first name in the world. Read a book. Yeah, but not in America.
Isn't Alaska just like too far removed from?
Yeah, I don't think
to get something like that.
Yeah, the population have to suck the blood of someone with malaria and then give it to you.
Yeah, I mean
everyone's got malaria in Africa. Literally everyone. I'm gonna fact check me on that. Can I talk about his action movie again?
Sure.
That's what Werner called it.
Yeah.
So I got a clip from Werner, which is another great monologue.
In his action movie mode, Treadwell probably did not realize that seemingly empty moments had a strange secret beauty.
I remember this.
Sometimes images themselves develop their own life, their own mysterious stardom.
I got something to say about this soundtrack in a second, too.
I'm going to put this on when I'm getting a massage or something.
Starsky and Hutch over.
Beyond his posings, the camera was his omnipresent companion. It was his instrument to explore the wilderness around him, but increasingly it became something more. He started to scrutinize his innermost being, his demons, his exhilarations. Facing the lens of a camera took on the quality of a confessional. Covering various years, the following samples illustrate this search for himself.
This gets into some of Tim Treadwell's
I have no idea if there's a God, but if there's a God, God would be very, very pleased with me. If you could just watch me here, how much I love them, how much I adore them, how respectful I am to them, how I am one of them, and how the studies they give me, the photographs, the video, and take that around for no charge to people around the world. It's good work. I feel good about it. I feel good about myself doing it. And I want to continue. And I hope I can. I really hope I can. But if not, be warned. I will die for these animals. I will die for these animals. I will die for these animals.
That whole mentality of him where he's like, God would be happy with me because of how nice I treat the bears. I'm so good to them. Mm-hmm. It's the mindset of a child.
Yeah.
He's an infant.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said that something happened in his past for him to behave in this way. Or childhood abuse or something.
It could. Maybe
trauma.
he's got a fixation. Could have be on the spectrum.
Yeah,
could be. It's not trains; it's bears.
I was just gonna say earlier. You're talking about is it a tragedy?
Yeah.
Imagine you had somebody that's obsessed with trains, and everyone's like, "You shouldn't get too close to the trains."
Like the real
they'll kill you.
Like the big trains.
Like big trains, full trains. Yeah. And they're like, oh shit, little steam locomotives coming through town. It's like, great, okay, keep your distance, Tyler.
Yeah.
And I like how I'm the subject matter.
Yeah. And you're like, no, I know that I love the trains. I'm good to the trains. God is going to smile favorably on me because of how much I adore the trains.
Man, it just sucks me under.
I can get closer to him. And then you go out there to give it a hug and you get hit by a train and we're like, we told him. I'd be sad.
If there's any animators who are listening to us, I want someone to animate
I'd be
me
sad
trying to hug a locomotive train.
Tyler, I'd be sad about that, but you wouldn't want to ask me to eulogize you. Don't put me up on that podium at the funeral.
It's okay. It's fine.
Bad things would come out.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure.
I don't know, but it's like, can you blame him?
I know.
I love that train.
He died doing what he loved. Hugging trains.
Yeah. It would be tragic.
It would be. It'd be sad.
I hope so.
Yeah, for anybody.
I hope so.
I love
a world.
I love trains. I love boats. I love airplanes. I love skydiving.
I mean,
rock climbing.
Yeah, it's like they love to do that.
I mean, for me, the tragedy is it's that he got an other person killed.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I mean, granted, it was her choice to stay out there with him, but
she got involved.
There probably was some sort of emotional manipulation.
He told her to go. He told her to run.
He did.
Yeah, when he's getting his scalp ripped off.
Yeah, I mean, what better time to tell someone to get out of here? You want this to happen to you? Get out of here.
But as far as it being, it's tragic. I think it's tragic for the people in his life surrounding him. It's tragic. But as far as his death alone, I don't think it's tragic. He knew he even says he knew he knows that these bears could kill him. So he knew that what he was playing with fire essentially.
I think
so he was aware of it, but I think it was his judgment was so clouded he didn't understand the implication.
Too close to it.
He just didn't know.
He didn't have a bird's eye view of everything. He was too micro. He wasn't macro.
Yeah. There's an interesting stuff on his Wikipedia page about his conflicts with the National Park Service.
Mm-hmm.
So
he said that was one of his enemies as well.
So he said the NPS National Park Service expressed their worries about his behavior, and the restrictions made him increasingly irate over the years. According to the files kept on Treadwell, the Rangers reported he had at least 6 violations from 1994 to 2003, including among the violations, this is one that surprised me, guiding tourists without a license. So he brought people out there.
He brought people.
As much as
Amy.
As much as he, but he never got cited for that because he died before they could catch him.
Yeah.
So he's done it before, and his like whole shtick was, "I'm the sole man out in the wilderness." But he brought people out there. He decided.
Yeah, they had the video of that girl that was unidentified.
That was her.
That was Amy.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
On the plane?
No, there was this video of this other woman.
Oh,
because there's a part where Werner's like, I can only surmise that Amy is the one holding the camera.
Oh,
because there was this other woman that. They talk about like you don't really see her face. She turns to the camera, but it's obstructed.
That's Amy.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Because she's standing on the plane.
No, it's the same. It was a different woman that they didn't identify.
Yeah,
there was an unknown person.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I don't remember that. That's okay. So regardless, he did that. Camping in the same other infractions were camping in the same area longer than the 7-day limit. Improper food storage, wildlife harassment, and conflict with visitors and their guides.
Wildlife harassment, like harassing the wildlife.
Yeah, going out to the bears and like petting them and stuff.
Yeah, booping their nose.
Treadwell also frustrated with his refusal to install a fence around his encampment, and he also refused to carry bear spray as a deterrent. And he wrote a book in 1997 where he told a story about how he did use bear spray once on an occasion, but he felt terrible grief after the pain he perceived it had caused to the bear and refused to use it on subsequent occasions. The bear mace could have saved his life.
Yeah.
Probably would have, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I just think
fucking guy.
He didn't have self-preservation.
No. He wanted to die shiny and gold, shiny and chrome.
Oh, so then he did. So he's not stupid.
Yeah, he task failed successfully.
Achieved, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to do it for as long as he could, and then until he died.
And there we go.
Maybe he had a little bit of regret, but in the middle of it, when it's too late. But
yeah,
you got something else you want to say? I got one more clip I want to play.
There was something. Oh, he had a good thought, or like it was like first act of the movie when he's talking about like. Going into the bears environment, being involved in the bears, like why, like kind of like related to the bear spray thing. Like, why would I go into somebody's home or invade somebody's home and then shoot them in their home?
Sure.
Or like cause harm to them in their home. And
I respect him for that.
It's like, but obviously at the same time, it's like, well, you being there obviously ended up. The biggest tragedy is that the bears were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think that's stupid in any scenario where a human is attacked and they kill the lion or they kill the Harambe.
Harambe, yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
Well, I got the taste for blood now.
You're the one who put him in that fucking situation, you dumbass.
I agree with that. I think after the second killing. Because that's the real reason why is no one wants to be responsible for the second killing because they would be sued to oblivion.
Yeah.
Last clip that I pulled here. This is... again, Werner talking about the reality of nature versus Tim Dexter's version.
And what haunts me is that in all the faces of all the bears that Treadwell ever filmed, I discover no kinship, no understanding, no mercy. I see only the overwhelming indifference of nature. To me, there is no such thing as a secret world of the bears. And this blank stare speaks only of a half-bored interest in food. But for Timothy Treadwell, this bear was a friend, a savior.
God damn, that is some powerful stuff.
Talk about not being able to read the room.
I know. This action movie mouth. All right, you want to grade this thing?
Yeah, sure.
Tyler, lead us off. Give us a grade.
All right, just right off the bat, just solid A, great documentary, very well crafted. Like you were saying, Pete, like the way it's structured is very well done, and it's not like the typical Hollywood, 3-act part movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I think what this documentary achieves is that you question like your judgment on humanity and on how you're not. I mean, I'm trying to find words for it. I'm trying to articulate like what I feel because this movie made me feel a lot. Like I was thinking a lot about just like the way I look at and judge humans, and I think the idea for this documentary was for you to self-reflect on how you judge a human being. I think Timothy Treadwell, if it wasn't for bears, it was going to be something else. I don't think he cared about the bears. He just ended up caring about bears. So I think he was a very, very vain person, a little full of himself, a lot full of himself, because he was carrying a camera freaking everywhere, filming himself, doing 15 takes at one point. And ultimately, like, my heart goes out to, like, his family and friends and his girlfriend's family and friends. And is it a tragedy? Yeah, it's a tragedy for the people surrounding him in his life. But for himself, he knew the risk of going out there with the bears. He wasn't a conservationalist. He didn't even, I would argue that he didn't even really bring awareness to poaching at all. Like, he just became a caricature of himself. And so I thought it was a very compelling documentary, and it was very thought-provoking. And yeah, so definitely a solid A, great documentary.
Okay, Joseph.
Yeah, A as well. I think he did bring in awareness to poaching, but in the wrong sense. Like, oh, I can poach. That kind of awareness.
Yeah. Oh, that was an option?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, I wanted to do it this whole time. I just couldn't find the bears.
I'll go buy a gun right now. But yeah, it was a really well edited, and I mean, I can't say shot documentary because most of it is from his Treadwell's camera himself. Yeah. The fact that most of the movie is like archival footage, and then kind of a few interviews in between, which are I mean, it looks like it was shot on film.
Yeah.
And the character that is Timothy Treadwell, as a character, he was like a goofy guy in like the way he talked, and we didn't even talk about like his accent that he put on, and that he wanted to go to Hollywood to become an actor, and he was second to Woody Harrelson for Cheers, and I was like, oh, okay, he kind of looks like Woody Harrelson actually.
Yeah.
So I could see.
I was thinking more Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah. Woody Harrelson, Aaron Eckhart hybrid.
Stuck on you too. Peter Farrelly brothers back in the house.
He's not dead.
Oh, wait, he's dead.
That's Greg Kinnear.
I know the Farrelly brothers.
Oh,
they made the movie. Directors.
Yeah. But yeah, I think to a certain degree there's something about Treadwell and like what he did. There's an admirable quality to what he was doing, but what he actually did and how he did it was the not admirable part. Just because like it was like a faux thing that he was doing. Like, I'm protecting them. When it's like you're not actually in the wild, you're in a national park, which is the wild, but it's all already protected. If you were to go some like non-federally protected land and do that, I feel like you'd be in more danger. And you might draw more awareness if there was actually a problem with bear poaching already, or bear hunting. If like there was a certain bear species that was going extinct or something, or not even bears, just any animal that if you were to go further into Alaska and stop people from like clubbing baby seals, like if you were to do that, like it'd be a little bit more respectable, I think. But obviously it ended up being a tragedy, and in a well put together documentary by a very interesting man named Werner.
That's right.
So yeah, it was really good though.
Cool. I'm very tempted to give this a B for bear, but it's an A. It's an A documentary. I think probably like A-. How could it get into a A+ range or an A range, might you ask? More Werner. That's what we want. That's what the people want.
I completely agree.
The people want more soliloquies.
Yeah,
we want to see him.
What haunts me is that in all the faces of all the bears that Treadwell ever filmed, I discover no kinship, no understanding, no mercy.
Love it.
I love Herzog, man.
More of that. More soliloquies from Werner. This movie made me want to go watch his other documentary stuff, and you know, I don't know if I mean, I've been like tempted to watch Fitzcarraldo for the longest time. After Dallas says that that's one of his favorites of his, I think that's I have to go watch it now. And Burden of Dreams to follow it up. But he's got a bunch of like follow-up documentaries to there. Little Dieter Learns to Fly. I don't know if that's actually about that, but it looks like it's set in the same area. My Best Fiend, which is about his tumultuous relationship with Klaus Kinski on the set of Fitzcarraldo and other movies. And just the freaking cover art for that it's Klaus Kinski strangling Werner Herzog. It's like the maniacal look in his eyes. I'm like, I have a very limited exposure to Werner, and every time I see something from him, it just makes me even more in love with him.
Yeah.
And yet here I am, still not exploring his catalog.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna give that a shot and see what I can do. But as far as Grizzly Man goes, yeah, wonderful. Not what I was expecting. Surprising and oddly wholesome at times and disappointing at times, and definitely tragic in a strange, complex way. So, Dal says Best Fiend is awesome. Cool, awesome, can't wait. All right, what's next? Wheel of Destiny?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I think so.
Another movie?
One wheel.
Another movie?
8 slots. 3 hosts. This is the Wheel of Destiny. Okay, I am a little underprepared.
We're on a mission to review every movie that has ever been made.
I got this here.
I wonder how long that would take.
You would die.
At our rate, weekly, like one a week.
We would die. We
and if we were immortal, how long would it take? How many years?
I think I read about this a few years ago that if you watched every single movie ever made, it would take like something like over like 500 years.
Damn. The intro to Cinematics, the actual podcast, says something like, there's 12 new releases a week, 52 weeks a year. You'd have to be an addict to watch all those, but no fret, Cinematics, we're at it, or whatever, something like that.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that show does almost exclusively non-big releases, almost exclusively small, off the beaten path sort of stuff, and they'll do sometimes fucking like 10, 12 movies a week, and they still can't keep up once a week.
Yeah.
So no one can do that. No one can watch all that stuff. But what we will be watching is a new addition to the wheel, not this time, but soon, from listener Ryan, or pal Ryan.
Ryan.
Oh, is he back?
No, he's
Is he back?
He's been on the Patreon and paid his dues for the whole year, and it was his time. He basically just canceled his Patreon, and I said, "You've already paid for the year, or whatever."
He did a yearly thing.
No. I just mean like because it's a monthly thing. They're paying every month, but it may be 6-8 months until your Patreon pick goes on the wheel because we're going in order of all the Patreon members. And we got so many of them, and we don't watch a Patreon one every week. So long story short, Ryan's pick is Identity from 2003.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
Really?
Neither
John
have I.
Cusack?
Nope.
Oh my! What have you seen it? Wow. Okay.
I've heard the word Identity before.
I rented this movie a long time ago when Blockbuster was a thing.
Oh, cool.
I thought it was. I've seen it a couple times. It's a pretty.
I've seen it a couple times.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
It's got 7.3 on IMDb.
It's a good thriller.
Nice. Yeah, mystery thriller on IMDb. Okay, so let's recap the wheel, which I forgot to do last week. We have Identity from Ryan, Lars and the Real Girl from Chris, Falling in Love Like in Movies from Pete, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from Pete, Broadcast News from Tyler, Cyrus from Tyler, Tiptoes from Joseph, and The Hunt from Joseph. So here's what we're going to watch next week.
Oh, boy.
Joseph, you want to call this thing?
I hope it's Lars and the Real Girl.
I don't know where to look. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah! And not the Michael Bay one.
This is the 90s.
The terrifying turtle mask.
80s or 90s or whatever it is.
I think it came out in like 90.
Okay, let's see.
Live action.
It was 1990, yeah.
Adult-sized Ninja Turtles.
Okay, so this is streaming.
Adult-sized.
Well, they're just big teenagers. Oh, this is on Amazon Prime. Sweet. Amazon Prime, Fubo MGM Plus is where you can watch it for free.
Okay.
Or with subscription. So the reason why I put this on the wheel is because I've never seen them.
You've never seen them?
What?
Never seen them.
I thought this was going to be like a film of your childhood.
No, for whatever reason, I never watched them.
Wow.
86.
Even with your love for turtles.
Not big turtle guy.
86. Yeah.
These are literally big turtle guys.
I know.
Wow.
I know. I saw myself in the film, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't face the reality of what I was. So I watched the cartoon series. That's what my exposure was to the turtles, and I did love the turtles, and I loved the Ninja Turtles video games too. NES, I believe NES was the one that I played the most. Sega Genesis, I think, had one as well. So these are, I believe, created by the Henson Group.
I don't know. Oh, the Jim Henson.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so. We'll find out.
Okay.
So we'll do a little bit. I'll do a little bit of research. We'll figure it all out. I know that they spawned 2 sequels: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, and the third one. We're in Japan. It's like
I didn't know there was a third one.
There's like samurai era.
I didn't know they made a sequel for the live action ones.
Really?
Yeah, the second one has Vanilla Ice.
You've never heard of Secret of the Ooze?
No.
Really? Okay.
No, I only have heard of the
so that's
first
your
one.
homework. You got to watch the second one too.
Oh man.
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. That's Vanilla Ice in the second one.
In Jackpot, the John Cena movie I picked last week, he's singing one of those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle songs. So, Angry Otter in the chat says, "Fun watch. You'll like it, Pete." I sure hope so. Okay. Anything else, fellas?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Nope.
One more time, I'm going to promote this media giveaway that we've got here going on. Got a stack of media. We're going to be giving this away at some point. Big Lebowski on 4K, Into the Spider-Verse 4K, Army of Darkness 4K Steelbook. I think it's actually a Blu-ray Steelbook. It's a 4-disc set, though. Dune Part 2 on 4K, The Watchmen Complete Story Ultimate Cut on 4K, Batman Begins on Blu-ray, Annihilation and Arrival 2-pack Blu-ray, Godzilla vs. Kong 4K, and the Planet of the Apes trilogy on Blu-ray, the box set. So we're going to be giving that away hopefully starting next week, and we're going to do a couple weeks worth of drawings. And what we're trying to get out of this is recommend your friends to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get our subscriptions up. If you subscribe to the channel, at the very least, you'll get an entry into the drawing. There'll be other ways too as well. If you comment on the Twitter post or comment on the Facebook post or whatever. But ultimately, it comes down to we want to get some people to hit the subscription button on the YouTube channel. That's what we're looking for. Anything else, guys?
No.
All right.
No.
Until next time. Thank you for following us as we review Grizzly Man from listener Dallas. Great pick, Dallas. Appreciate you, man. Falls next week as we review Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the OG from 1990. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast, and send us an email, mcfcpodcast@gmail.com.
And follow us on Instagram at Middle Class Film Class, and please leave us a voicemail. We'd like to hear from the classmates at 209-730-6010.
And follow us on Twitter at Podcast MCFC and on TikTok at Middle Class Film Class.
Alrighty, well, see y'all next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Class dismissed.
I gotta get out of here.
The bell doesn't dismiss you. I dismiss you.
You're free to go.
See you next week.
See you later.
See you later.
That's a wrap.
Great show.